10, and it's 4 o'clock. Please call the roll.
Chairperson Wani Garza.
Here.
Vice Chair Ted Masiacos.
Present.
Alderman John Lash.
Present.
Alderman Brandon Tolliver.
Here.
Alderman Daniel Barreto.
Present.
5 present.
Okay. Approval the minutes, item 25-0091 from January 27, 25.
So moved. Second.
Motion by Tolliver, second John Lash. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion passed. Public comments?
There is no public comment today.
Okay. All right. The first item on the agenda today is 24-0572, a resolution to award the Millbury Drive to La Jolla Court Water Main Project located in Ward 9 to H. Linden and Sons Sewer and Water, Inc., to the amount of $438,280.
Good afternoon, Kurt Muth with Engineering Division. So when the Lincoln Prairie development was under design, there were 2 projects identified to increase water capacity at the southeast end of town. The first was constructed last year at Keating Drive at the end of last year, and then the second one between Middlebury and La Jolla Court was bid out last year. We had some delays getting ComEd easement approved, which is in the process now, so we're moving forward with awarding this design contract. We did get some good prices last year, and the low bidder asked for about a 4.5% increase to cover the increased costs in the pipe. It's still the lowest bid, and we're still comfortable with moving forward the project. This project is reimbursable as part of that development by the developer, so be happy to answer any questions.
Questions, comments?
Motion to approve. Second. Just quick
Question? Okay.
Yeah, why'd they have that one part highlighted on the bid tab?
There was an error in that bid.
Not an error that brought it below the 518? Okay.
No, it was a very minor bid item.
No further question?
Okay. It's a motion made already by Dan Barreto, second Alderman Tolliver. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion passed. Oh, John Lash, okay. Motion passed 5-0. Okay, next item is 24-0880, a resolution authorizing the Director of Purchasing to enter an agreement with Great Lakes Urban Forestry of Batavia and the amount of $150,000 to conduct the tree inventory and develop an urban forestry management plan.
Good afternoon, Ian Wade with the Engineering Division. As kind of described in the memo, you may recall back on June 11th, we brought forward a resolution to accept an award for a $1 million grant from the USDA Forest Service for the Inflation Reduction Act. So in response to that, we published, in response to receiving that grant, we published an RFP from companies to perform to conduct a tree inventory and develop an urban forestry management plan. This grant was specific to what was known as disadvantaged areas identified through CEJST. That is why you'll see in their proposal we did limit the scope to those areas because those are the only areas that are covered under this grant, which is provided on a reimbursement basis with no required match. So, with this grant, this was, kind of a no-brainer. We didn't really have to put up any of our own funds in that it would be fully reimbursed, and with this scope being not more than $150,000, it obviously will be well within the $1 million grant that we received. You may have seen as well, and hopefully it was clear in the memo, but their quote was actually $135,597 based on an assumed number of trees, which obviously, since they haven't done the tree inventory yet, we don't know for sure that that's the exact count, which is why then I requested the additional $14,403 just to cover that in the event that there ends up being quite a bit more trees than they estimated using just GIS images and things like that. So I can't imagine it'll be anywhere near that much more, but we just wanted to make sure that we had enough in there so that we wouldn't have to come back in the event of any, should there be, quite a few more trees or in open spaces than we anticipated. So we did this, as I mentioned, as a qualification-based selection, and our group unanimously selected Great Lakes Urban Forestry of Batavia. So with that, I'll answer any questions.
Questions, comments?
Yeah,
Yes? Yes?
Chairman Garza, I have a question.
Yeah.
So I was just curious about the areas that are eligible. Seem to be a lot of the areas that have big mature trees. They're more older neighborhoods. So, what is there a potential that there might be trees left over in those areas?
So as I mentioned, we were a little limited in the areas that were eligible for this grant. And really, I'd say that, doing an inventory and a management plan is just as valuable for areas that do have quite a few mature trees, and not so much that it's exclusively for trying to supplement areas that have not enough trees, but also to get a firm handle on the inventories in those areas and start to game plan for the future for things like, making sure the species are adequately spread out so that if any disease were to set in on a certain species, it wouldn't overly ravage a certain area. So that is true that the areas identified do have some good tree growth there, but I think that getting them inventoried and making sure we have a good plan for those will definitely be valuable.
More questions? Yes? Yeah?
Just real quick, so does it include parks, the riverfront, and open spaces? Are we looking at residential and
So it wouldn't be
easement?
it wouldn't be residential, it'd be city-owned spaces, but yes, it would include open spaces as well. And there was a little bit of unsureness as to whether it would include parks or not. But once we get this consultant on board, we'd make sure that we were doing it appropriately to the grant, and we'd obviously be looking to include as much as we could. So if it proved that we were able to incorporate parks, I think that is something we would look at.
And any chance of working with some of the other Forest Preserve or Fox Valley Park District, or does that have to be City of Aurora only? I'm
With
just
the
thinking,
grant-
with that much money, it's probably going to be hard to fill in.
There'll certainly be plenty of money to do, quite a few things. This was kind of the first swipe at that, knowing that it was specifically targeted to the disadvantaged areas, and that the first step in really doing the majority of the other tasks that would be eligible for this is first getting this inventory conducted and getting a handle on what we have.
No further questions. Motion to approve.
Okay, motion approved by Alderman Lesh, second Alderman Tolliver. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion passed. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next item is 25-0017, a resolution authorizing the Director of Purchasing to implement Phase 1 of digital signage solution from Ipper Sign LLC, Dayton SC, and Zipper Technology Solution for a total award of $189,125.
Good afternoon. Tony Martinez, Chief Communication and Marketing Officer. This agenda item is to modernize our displays throughout the city of Aurora for our internal and external displays. So when we talk about displays, we're talking about the television screens, things like that are internal and external facing. One example, some examples of those displays are the big displays we have right here outside of City Council chambers. Those are displays that are controlled centrally in our department. So what this agenda item will give us the ability to be able to push out information on any displays that we mount these devices to. In this agenda item, we identified a little bit over 50 locations that we can control these television screens or displays. A lot of them, we have a big chunk of them at the Aurora Police Department, because we noticed that as we went around the city, there's different departments using displays to display information, whether it's shift information for their work schedules. At APD, there's obviously sensitive information they need to share with all the police officers on duty throughout the building. So they'll put information, up there on those screens. And right now, we're just kind of using kind of a patch system, really. So right now they put on a PDF documents on those screens, but there's really not a software that's centrally located and controlled by the admin within City Hall and APD. So this solution will give us the ability to have super admins and then assign users based on either departments or divisions that need to use certain displays. So I can, for instance, for the Aurora Police Department, with this software, I'll be able to assign a user or role in the police department to control their specific screens in their buildings, and really kind of replicate that for any other department or division that needs any displays. Right now, we have identified some City Hall locations. Right now, we have the cork boards that are outside of City Hall when you come into that entrance. Those cork boards will be replaced with digital displays. So then that way, my department can put information, put videos, boards and commission agendas, and have them all there electronically as people come in, and we can really reduce the paper that's used, when we pin those agendas on those boards coming in. So.
Questions, comments?
Chair Garza, I do
Yes.
have a question. I'm trying to understand, is this 37,800 a year, or is this 189,000 a year?
So it's 189,000 for 5 years.
But
So
if we
you look at
divide it in 5, isn't that become 37,800 per year? So I'm just trying to.
So if you look at the annual maintenance cost is 19,000 for the first year, so it's 19,222. And then you basically times that by 3, and that's where you get to 76,000 for the years 2 and 5 for the yearly maintenance. And then we do have some one-time costs for the actual displays, or basically TV monitors, and then cabling and other the digital players themselves.
Right, because I'm just trying to, just the way that it's worded here, wanted to clarify that was the total cost. The 189 is the total cost?
Yeah, so 189 is the total cost for 5 years.
Okay, thank you.
More questions?
What about the cost for the physical equipment that you plan to use in the lobby? Is that separate or being approved
No,
separately?
that's included. That's included in the cost for the new devices. So if you look in the attachment for new devices.
I did see that, yeah.
Yeah, there's some device costs, and that's already, included in these costs.
Do we own that, the equipment?
We would own the device. We would own the televisions and there's actual physical device. It's about the size of your palm of your hand. It's really kind of a mini computer that attaches to each television or a display with an HDMI port. We own that. But the solution is a cloud-based solution, which the company, that's why HyperSign uses that cloud-based solution for us to be able to assign users and push the information to those devices.
Is there any chance that in publishing a meeting agenda, that if the software goes down or something fails, that we violate OMA? I mean, I suppose we could just go tape stuff to the door as a backup
We could,
plan,
yeah,
right?
exactly. That would be the backup, right? We would go there and post the agendas, physically, in that event.
I guess to me, Madam Chair, it falls in the category of a want, not a need, but
No more questions, no more comments? Okay.
Motion to approve?
Motion approved by Alderman Tolliver.
Second.
Second, Alderman Barreiro. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion passed, 5-0. Thank you. Okay, next item, 25-0089, a resolution authorizing acceptance of the low bid for Golf Acquisition Group, LLC, for maintenance and repairs of APD parking deck in the amount $111,417.00, and 10% contingency of $1,141.
Good afternoon, Jim Burchell, Chief Public Facilities Officer. So this is going to take you through the beginning. So the parking deck, when we first set it up, we went to finance. We did a 5-year decision package. We're on year 5. This is year 5. So we have an outside company come in and evaluate the deck. So that's what they did. Companies, Walker Consultants, they do all our parking decks. So they do a very extensive, comprehensive report, which you have a copy. They evaluated what we need to do, and we have that. The recommendation is to approve. We went out to RFP, and our recommendation is to approve golf construction for $111,417 with the contingency that you stated. These are must-needed repairs. So when the company comes and evaluates and tells us that something's wrong with the deck, that's a liability. So now that I know this, I get to pass that liability on to council. So I highly recommend we approve this.
We did something already, like last year?
We did. It is a 5-year study. our 5-year maintenance plan. This is year 5. Our deck is never been safer, and we also have to remember that this deck gets more usage than any other deck we have in the city. What the officers do when they come in, they park in the upper deck. They walk down, get their squad, drive back up, get their equipment, and go on patrol. And this happens 3 shifts, and it never stops. And it's just constant. This deck is designed to move east to west, and we did we actually put a machine on there to test our movement. And that's what's good about doing this 5-year study. We have a really close eye on this deck. The deck is right. And after this, we won't have to worry about it. So I highly recommend remove it.
Well, I thought this construction is not really old. We have, okay, 15 years?
There's maintenance on and anything you do, especially in facilities. On the precast, you have T-joint. Basically, the T-joint is stainless steel that attaches the precast together. Well, with movement in time, they're going to break. So what they do to test that, there's a machine, or actually it's a cart with chains that hang down. And when you walk across a T-joint, I walked with them. And I always say trust and verify. So when we're walking with them, you'll hear the noise change on a broken T-joint. This is identifying, replacing them, and re-welding them T-joints.
Okay. Questions, comments?
Yeah, what's the replacement cost if we were to neglect the parking deck and had to be replaced?
Wow.
Just
That's
ballpark,
probably,
you know,
off the top of my head, 25, 26 million.
Ooh,
so it's a good investment.
Oh, absolutely.
wow. Well, so the constructions, no, this is like a 24 hours traffic, right?
Absolutely.
So you mean every single parking decks, so they know that, right? Like I'm saying, the architect's position. So no, like in the casino, the construction in the casino right now, 4,000 cars. So there want to be a lot of traffic too. So they want to be some guarantee in there, or
You know-
how they want to do?
That's a good point. So with Stope Island, we did the same thing. We have an outside consultant company come in, they evaluate the deck, and these are the necessary repairs. We've done them repairs. With the casino's done, I think, $200,000-$300,000 worth of repairs. When they vacate, we'll come in with this, we already have this study done, and we'll be coming before council to do additional repairs.
Yeah.
So moved.
Okay, motion
Second.
approved by John Lash,
Second?
second Alderman Barreto. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, motion passed 5-0. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, next item, 25-0098, a resolution awarding the 2025 Sur televising contract to Pipeview LLC DBA, Pipeview America, and the amount of $648,860.00.
Hello, so this contract is something we bid out annually to get eyes on and televise the sewers below the streets that we plan to overlay this year. That allows us to identify any dig repairs and get them expedited and completed before the road's overlaid and looking very nice and new, and avoiding to have to disturb that. This contract, the bid prices did not increase substantially from last year, but the value is about 3 times what we spent last year, and that's because we're hoping to do both the overlay sections for 2025 and 2026. It also includes televising a good portion, the majority of all our large brick sewers that we have in the city, which are the oldest sewers and have not been televised recently. So we'd like to get eyes on them, especially after the failure we had in Downer back in November, just to have a level of confidence in their state of quality. So the lowest bidder, Pipeview, is based out of Texas, but last year they had the contract and used a local crew from the Chicagoland area, and we were happy with them. They were responsive when we had some emergency needs pop up, so they were able to mobilize quickly when needed as well.
The question I have, so the amount we want to approve is only for televising, or if they find something, so just make a note. Like I'm saying, a lot of roots is complaints for roots and the sewer. So what they do with that?
They don't perform any fixes, but they do clean the sewers as they televise them. So there is some benefit to having the sewers clean. There's debris that forms, and if there are areas of roots, they can clean those roots out as well.
So they clean
They do, yes.
it. Oh, okay. Questions, comments? Yes?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I guess don't we have our own televising system that we use? And I know we do have one that comes in from the house and goes out to the street if we need it, I would assume. I'm just looking at this price and thinking we could buy a truck and pay a guy for a year to go around and do it ourselves.
We do. That is,
Buy a whole separate truck.
yeah, we do have a truck that goes out and addresses needs as they pop up. It's more of an on-call, not evaluating the entire portion of the system, but more of a specific reactionary type need at this point.
Does it have the ability to do everything that this is doing? Like if we were to hire a guy full-time to do it?
Our camera is suited for smaller sewers, maybe up to 12 or 15 inches, whereas this contractor has bigger, multiple sizes of cameras, so they are definitely more suited to evaluate the larger brick sewers and the larger combined sewers that we have in town. A good portion of the contract is for sewers 24 inches and larger.
And then how much work do we have like this in the future? I mean, it just seems to me that we would want to invest in the modernized equipment, have somebody trained and capable on staff that could do this long-term, because we replace asphalt all the time, resurface. It seems like a smart move to check in advance. It just seems like it would be a more affordable long-term to have somebody on staff that could do it.
It is a contract we bid out annually, so it's something we can consider.
Madam Chair, I have a question.
Yes?
So these are based on the streets that are going to be overlaid this coming year. Is that list available yet for view, inspection, public? view?
It's in process. When we put together the quantities, we don't provide the list of roads yet. We just have a rough quantity. And just knowing that it's spread out throughout town is good enough for them, knowing that they're not going to have efficiency of one neighborhood. So another division in our group is finalizing that list, and then hopefully by the time this contract would get approved, then we could start moving forward with knowing which those streets are.
Yep, thank you.
Okay. No more questions? No. Okay.
Motion to approve.
Motion approved by Alderman Tolliver.
Second.
Second, Alderman Barreto. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion passed, 5-0. Next item is 25-0099, a resolution authorizing the Director of Purchasing to enter an agreement with Aurora Asphalt Services in the amount of $1,006,500 for the 2025 citywide payment, patching for water and sewer maintenance.
This is another contract we bid out annually at the beginning of the year. It is used to address restoration for dig repairs, specifically hardscape, whether it be patching, concrete curb. In addition, we sometimes have some small engineering projects that we use these prices for because they're spread out throughout town. And then we did add an element this year where we're going to address some of the trip hazards throughout town. Typically that was bid out later in the year, and we're hoping to address it a little bit more efficiency before the end of the year this year. So it was included with this contract, which did increase the value of the contract slightly from last year. Schroeder did not have the contract last year, but had it 2 years ago. So we're confident they can perform the work.
Okay. Questions, comments? Yes?
Thank you, Madam Chair. So this is just for anywhere that we dug in and had to do a pipe repair and then are coming back over to clean up the surface?
Correct.
How many sites is it across the city? If it's in my packet, I apologize for not.
It varies per year. It's Generally in the 400 to 500 range, probably.
Okay. So moved.
Okay, motion made by Alderman John Lesch.
Second.
Second, Alderman Tolliver. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion passed, 5-0. Thank you. Next item, 25-0106, a resolution authorizing the purchase of golf course maintenance equipment for Rangers, Inc., using Sourcewell Cooperative contract for $297,053.
Good afternoon, committee. Jeff Schmidt, Superintendent of Golf Operations out of Phillips Park. In front of you, you've got a procurement for some golf course maintenance, mowers and maintenance equipment. A little background, 2 of our large-scale mowers have been in service for 15 years, and our bunker groomer has been in service for over 10 years. Our walk-behind aerifier has been in service for 19 years. The debris blower, which has been in service also for another 23 years. The age of equipment and reliability is starting to diminish, resulting in significant downtime and now accumulated an extensive maintenance expenses. The on-site GeoLink antenna is going to be used for our GPS turf sprayer that we purchased for the Golf Division in 2023, and the Parks and Recreation purchased a sprayer in 2024. New technology, new features are absent in the existing equipment. The modern mowers equipment will improve and enhance our conditions out at Phillips Park Golf Course, as well as increase fuel efficiency and serviceability. The on-site GeoLink antenna will be used for communication to the GPS sprayers that is used both by the Parks and the Golf Division. The GeoLink antenna will replace the annual fees that we accumulate $1,600 per year times 2, which is a $3,200 expense that's split equally between Parks and Golf on an annual basis. And the external antenna will improve the signal for the GPS sprayer. The expense for this GeoLink antenna will be split equally between Golf Division and the Parks and Rec Division. We're looking at purchasing Toro, which is a reputable manufacturer of golf maintenance equipment, and they've been accepting orders for 2025 spring. In order to secure that delivery in 2025, we're requesting authorization to place an order for all equipment through Rogers Incorporated, which is an authorized Toro dealer using Sourcewell contract 031121-TC.
Questions, comments?
Madam Chair, I do have a question.
Yes?
Jeff, so my question is, with the replacement plan for the equipment, is this represents a typical year or a big purchase year? You know, is it level or does it go up and down?
We purchased a few additional equipment in previous years, so we're starting to cycle through the equipment and trying to maintain what we can, but once it gets to an expiration date where it's becoming more cost-effective to replace, then we're looking to phase equipment out to eliminate the downtime, which ultimately disrupts the playing conditions of the golf courses, affects revenues.
Right, right. But I'm just asking if this is a big purchase or is this average?
This would be a big purchase for the golf course, yes.
Okay, all right. So
yeah.
next year it could be less.
It could be less, yes,
Okay.
if we come to yes.
All right, thank you.
Mark? Yeah?
Thank you, Madam Chair. So just to follow up on that, last year we did this, well, last 2 years we bought new equipment. And then we went and we outsourced a lot of the lawn mowing for our parks. In this coming spring, summer, fall, are we going to outsource or are we going to staff up? Do we have the staff to run this equipment? Are we going to use it or are we going to outsource for mowing our lawns?
Unfortunately, I cannot comment on Parks and Recreation Department and outsourcing turf, but this is strictly for the golf course.
For the
This is
golf
golf
course.
course maintenance equipment, yes.
And that'll be run by our people?
Be run by our people, yes, sir.
And we just didn't buy the antennas, the GPS antennas, when we bought the seating equipment last time?
I can't comment on the previous, on that purchase from a year ago, but this is now coming to play, and we'll have this paid for in 5 years.
Have we used that equipment at all in the past?
The GeoLink antenna?
Yeah, well, the associated equipment.
Yes, that goes to the sprayer
Yeah.
that we will be using, because currently we're using outsourcing from antennas, up in the sky, per se. This will be dedicated to the golf course, and again, in over 5 years, it'll pay for itself, and it'll have longevity use.
Okay.
Motion to
Yes.
approve?
Motion approved by Alderman Demborado,
Second.
Second, Alderman Tolliver. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion passed, 5-0. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next item is 25-0107, a resolution authorizing a payment of AT&T for up to $250,000 for the purpose of having AT&T relocate their facility within the city of Aurora, ROW, along Fransburg Avenue and Bilter Road and Church Road.
Hello, Brian Wachowski, Engineering Department, for this item. Essentially how we described it, we entered into negotiations with all utility companies to relocate them in advance of roadway construction projects. AT&T, unfortunately, came to the determination that they felt like a portion of this was chargeable to the city of Aurora for the relocation of their utilities. Staff and various other aspects disagree with that, but we are unfortunately under a time crunch to get the construction started. So this is an item that would allow us to send a check to AT&T so that they can continue their final design and construction or relocation of their utilities, so that we can maintain our construction timeline that we have put into the contracts with the Dunneman for the Farnsworth Church and Bilter reconstruction project. It doesn't mean that we are going to give up on asking for this to not be reimbursable by the city, but unfortunately, that's the determination by AT&T right now. And this, in order to move the construction forward, we need to have a check in hand before they will finalize their design or relocate any of their facilities in our right-of-way.
Questions, comments?
Question.
Yeah?
How much is the total project? Because if they're only asking us, if this is a portion, the $250,000, what's the total from AT&T? What are they going to cover?
I don't have a number on that. We have worked with them. Originally, the number that they told us was significantly higher than this, like around $400,000, $500,000. We worked with them to eliminate certain sections where they're going to keep their utility in place and just kind of monitor it and make sure that our contractor is going to work around their existing facilities. So we got that price down. They obviously don't have an exact price right now. We have to enter an agreement with them so that they will give us an exact estimate. But obviously they are relocating a lot of facilities in other locations, so I would imagine that, it's the price that they're charging for us is probably different than what they're giving to AT&T, since it's a large contract and this is just for a small section.
No further questions.
No? Yes?
Thank you, Madam Chair. What about just laying our own dark fiber and making them pay for it to rent it?
Yeah.
I'm a no vote on this. I'll just tell you now that we should just lay our own fiber and make them rent it from us.
Yeah, unfortunately, we have an agreement with them to allow them to use the city's right-of-way to lay their utility, and so in that agreement, they are supposed to relocate it at no cost to the city when we request that. They have somehow read that or interpreted that differently in this instance, which is kind of the basis of why we're fighting them charging us right now. But we do have an agreement that the city of Aurora is honoring, and we kind of feel like AT&T is not honoring their side of the agreement right now.
So then I'm assuming that the legal's involved, so we can try to, like I said, either get that reimbursed or something of that, because if we have some kind of contract with them, I know lawyers can interpret it whatever way they want. On the construction side, I see if there's constraints that we need to get it done, but I kind of agree with Alderman Lash on this. It's kind of like $250,000 for something that we don't think we should be covering is a lot, and it's a hard pill to swallow. But what are the time constrictions on the construction? Is it just because of the time of it? Is it because we need to get it done before everything else starts?
So in our contract that we awarded to RW Dunneman, we have a completion date or a substantial completion date of Thanksgiving, essentially, for the Black Friday and the businesses that are located in close vicinity here. So we need to have that area done or mostly done. And by continuing to fight this right now and delay them relocating their utilities would cause the contractor to miss that deadline.
Well, because of that, like I said, we don't want to have any impact, especially with the Black Friday stuff, because we know how that is. I'll be a yes vote, but as long as we're continuing to try to either get that lowered or reimbursed, so we don't have to pay it at all, whatever the
This,
case may be.
they did inform us that this, so this is a verbal, very conservative estimate from what they have told us so far. They were not willing to put anything on paper or give me any exact, but they told me that we could move forward with requesting up to, that's why it says up to $250,000, and does not have an exact amount right now.
Madam Chair, I don't want to see a delay in this. It's a very important project. It needs to be done timely. But I do want to, ask that we continue to pursue, trying to get it brought down maybe to zero, because this could set a bad precedent for other projects, so.
Yeah, I think that is staff's goal and legal department's goal as well, I believe.
Assistant Corporation Counsel Patrick Collins. It's difficult of what I can say legally at this point, but the city will be taking steps to get that lowered.
How, Madam Chair, may I?
Yes.
How is it we can find out what those steps are if you're concerned about doing it here on open record as a committee?
Well, these are internal decisions that would need to be made before we take any steps farther in a legal process.
Considering options.
Yes, we're looking at multiple different options, multiple different plans,
And what happens?
different routes that the city can potentially legally take. But I don't want to take a position here on any stance of what the city may or may not do on how to lower these actual costs.
What I'm trying to get at is this something that maybe an executive session might help out with us better understanding the overall situation?
Not at this time.
Not at this time.
Would a motion to lay our own fiber strengthen your negotiating hand?
I'll defer that. I don't have a position on that either way. I mean, I think there are, yeah, I mean, if Mike P. was here, there are some other plans on that as well.
I'm still a little confused. We can't have a discussion about this with city council based on what you're working on? Is that what I'm hearing?
At this point, right now, I'm not prepared to do an executive session on
You're
any
not
of the other
prepared,
ones.
okay, all right,
At
but you are
anything
working on
in the
it.
future at different parts, yes, but at this point, I wouldn't be comfortable going to an executive session to give you any information that I don't have.
I see, okay, that's a whole different story. All right.
There's been some internal discussions, no decisions have been made, no plans have been made. There are several paths the city can go down without committing to one and putting anything out in public at this point.
Okay, so in
So,
essence,
so I'd say we're approaching it on two fronts, right? We're approaching it on a legal front. We're also approaching it from a construction side as well to try and limit the amount of AT&T relocations that are required by our construction.
so in essence, this is a $250,000 deposit to keep the process going.
I'm hoping it's less than that, but
I understand that, but it's a
Yeah.
deposit, correct? To get the process rolling.
yep.
And we're going to continue working on getting everything down to a $0 fee with this deposit. And we're just trying to get the process moving. Is that what you're saying?
We have to
correct?
keep their design and construction process
Correct.
moving. In order to move that
And-
forward, this is their.
And this is
their-
not uncommon for utility. For example, ComEd does the same thing.
ComEd
They-
has not charged us anything.
No, but I'm just
Yeah.
saying, in general, when a project moves forward.
For
they
a
don't
utility to
design
relocate their
anything Until
facilities,
they get a
yes.
deposit as well, and sometimes that deposit is not always the full scope of the cost. I know that.
They all have their own
From-
procedure, yeah, but
yeah,
yes,
but it's
there-
not
if
uncommon.
utilities are charging, so for instance, NICOR has a section that is reimbursable on this project too, but their procedure is that they do all the work and relocate it and then find out what the costs were. And it's all after the fact as opposed to AT&T, which is before.
Okay.
Motion to approve.
Okay, motion approved by the Alderman Demorado,
Second.
second Alderman Tolliver. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion pass.
Nay. I had a quick question for legal, if I may.
Sure.
Would you
Yes.
be able to present options to the council at Cal? I mean, if it's a time frame.
I cannot confirm or deny at this time.
In
Alderman.
executive, okay.
Yeah, I would have to, yeah.
Okay. Motion pass 5-0, thank you.
4-1.
No other item? Oh, 4-1, okay. No other item?
Motion to adjourn.
Motion adjourned by Alderman
Second.
John Les, second Alderman Tolliver. All in favor say aye. Adjourn the meeting at 4:40. Thank you very much.